Saquon Barkley potentially about to be embedded into a running back by committee. This is a report from ESPN. This is also on the McAfee show earlier today. Eagles could be targeting a rookie running back in the NFL draft to be the Lightning to Saquon Barkley's Thunder. Do we freak out about this? Are we worried about this? I don't think so, but it's certainly something that needs to be talked about if this is a big potential ticket item for the Eagles. And the Eagles are making moves. The Eagles are making fantastic football moves. So it's something to think about, something to consider, something to talk about, something to kick around. We got Deontay Johnson news. Is he going to be relevant? Steelers agreed to trade Deontay Johnson to the Panthers in exchange for Jackson, a late round pick, swap, etc. We'll go over that in a second. We've got a whole other list of little tiny pieces of news, nothing huge or major like the Derrick Henry thing earlier, but we're going to break it all down. We're going to discuss all the stuff that's been going on. What do we make of Barkley? Is he a top 5 to 10 running back, or are we concerned about this committee talk? The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
Saquon. What is this man going to do in 2024? My natural instinct is to say top 5 to 10 running back numbers. I don't really care too much about the smoke season mentions of running backs they might draft. Everybody needs a backup running back. You know, I guess the question I would have for anybody that's really fearing this talk that is widespread. This isn't one report. This is multiple reports speaking on this ESPN Sal Paolantonio report about the Eagles drafting, targeting not only a running back, but actually having information of they want a Thunder and Lightning. Like that's a very specific phrase and thought process. So I don't think it's just somebody predicting. It's not Sal Paolantonio just like coming up with it out of nowhere. But the thing that would make me say, okay, I'm not worried, is that you're not taking this man off the field when he's executing upon said plan of scoring touchdowns, ripping off 5 yards per carry, running behind an amazing offensive line, injected into an offense that you cannot stop and you cannot focus and stop and wonder where Barkley is on the field because you got A.J. Brown, Smith, even where Hurts is just, at any one moment in time spying where this guy is. You've got Goddard, who's a fantastic, option if healthy. This team is loaded. Not to mention, and I'm not huge on this news. I don't really care about Devontae Parker all that much. But Eagles agree to terms with wide receiver Devontae Parker on a 1-year, $4.69 million deal. I maybe draft him in the craziest of circumstances, but I'm not really all that thrilled with that Parker signing necessarily. I'd rather have a rookie receiver in the 4th and 5th round. I think you find a better option there, and they might still do that. Like Parker doesn't mean anything. I think Barkley is a locked and loaded 2nd round pick without a hesitation. I mean, that was already kind of in play on the spec that he goes somewhere to start before he ever was, in motion to go anywhere. So he's obviously a 2nd rounder. The question is, did he breach round 1? Did he breach the 12-13 bookend turn picks? He might have. And do I think that's overpaying? Am I looking at this like we look at Henry? Henry's a 4th rounder, right? Walking into the free agency. Now Henry is a Baltimore Raven. And I don't believe Henry's ADP will remain. I believe Henry climbs from round 4 up to round 3, maybe top of round 3, maybe even breaches the turn picks of 24-25 overall. Barkley might cost, Henry might cost you a 25, 26, 7 overall pick. Barkley was around 15, 17, 14, depending on if you're drafting with grandma, depending on if you're drafting with Bill and Bob from accounting or Maggie from repo. Whoever you're drafting with, Barkley's ADP would be slightly different, but he's in round 2. Did Barkley climb to the bookend picks? Yeah, he probably did. And would I pay it?
Mashed potatoes.
I would. I'd pay it. And the reason I'd pay it is, look, you don't have to buy them in every league. No one's suggesting you put all your eggs in every single Easter basket you have. That's just not smart fantasy business anyway. I might do it with Bijan.
Mashed potatoes.
I might put a lot of eggs in the Jahmyr Gibbs and Kyron Williams baskets too. Why don't we just load them up? Let's load them up. Fire it up. Not saying it's smart. I'm different. I'm crazy. Don't do what I do. I put all eggs in one basket all the time. I advise you not to. Okay? This is like your therapist. Your boy went and got a psych degree so I can dabble in psych a little bit here. And I'm telling you, as from one fake therapist to a potential person that needed some advice, I might give you advice that I can't follow. That's just the nature of psychology. My advice is this. Barkley at 12-13 turn. Do it live, Smitty. If it must be so. If you're sitting at 12-13, you've got a shot at taking, I don't know, maybe you go little Garrett Wilson and you go Saquon in one of your leagues at the 12-13 turns. Why not? Who cares? Have a little fun. You only live once. Send them to the moon. Do it live. Let's go.
To the moon.
Super chats coming in. I'm going to do a better job of addressing super chats immediately when they happen. If Higgins is traded, is Chase wide receiver 1 for you again? JJ's a concern right now. Our live stream tonight might be about JJ. It might be, if we don't have any other piece of breaking news going on, I'm going to go live tonight on the main channel. I know we haven't done the Dynasty channel. We need to do that. But look, the main channel takes priority. We're in the middle of all this stuff. We're going to do the Dynasty channel, believe me. We'll probably do a Dynasty channel on JJ and a non-Dynasty show, the main channel on JJ. But I'm concerned. I don't know if Minnesota's dumb enough to go down the Sam Darnold road. I don't know. It's like that meme. I've got it on my Instagram where literally the guy is kicking the other guy in the nads over and over and over. It's this one right here. And that's Sam Darnold kicking JJ right in the sack over and over and over. Sam Darnold, boom, JJ owners, do it live, back and forth. It's definitely something that you gotta be concerned about. You know, is JJ going to have Sam Darnold throwing the football? Are they going to draft a rookie? I'm not a moron, but guess what? I'm not in charge. And maybe Minnesota doesn't view Fields as a viable option, which is idiotic in my mind. I don't care how many of you hate Fields. I think this is a good situation to throw Fields in. I think this is maybe a good potential purchase at a 3rd, 4th round draft selection. And I just think that why wouldn't you take the time to kick the tires on a Fields situation at round 2 or 3 value and give JJ a better chance than Sam Darnold? Sam Darnold is going to bury a lot of the upside that JJ has. That JJ is so good, he'll have 1,300 yards. He's so good, he'll have 100 to 109 receptions in the worst of scenarios. He's so good, he could still get 6, 7, 8 touchdowns. But JJ's capability with Sam Darnold, if that's where the Vikings go and they don't draft a rookie here, and not to mention they may go JJ McCarthy, and I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know that I'm not calling McCarthy a bust, but I don't know that McCarthy's going to step in Minnesota and deliver what we all think he can, because we see Stroud do it. We see AR5 go off and become a monster. We're going to probably see JD5 be an absolute monster. I don't know that there's any sort of lock or guarantee, even with Penix Jr. or Bo Nix, but you have more so a guarantee JJ's in trouble. Unless the Minnesota Vikings smarten up and go get Justin Fields, who many of you can complain about being cheeks and not a very good quarterback, blah, 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 blah. He turned DJ Moore into a top 5 to 10 wide receiver. Let's keep that in mind. If you want to talk about Fields failing in terms of wins and bringing someone into the playoffs and marching through a couple playoff wins, that's fine. Do you. But when we're talking fantasy football, and I tell you Fields could come save the day in Minnesota, and I tell you that Smitty, Captain Save Smitty, can come in and give a solution that I think potentially puts this team in a position, as well as Washington, as well as New England. Fields is a problem solver for all of those situations and landing spots. I really don't understand how these teams are letting Fields just sit there. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll step in. Maybe they'll end up making a move. Who knows? But my answer, to answer your question, very long-winded, Runner Boy, is I think Higgins, if he leaves, if they do trade him, and they could, because why? Because he's a diva. And Higgins wants top 5 wide receiver money. Higgins is going to feel pretty insulted about the offer they throw at him, and probably has been since they've had discussions. But Higgins says that they haven't had contract negotiation discussions for over a year. Higgins says it was March of 2023 the last time his team said, let's sit down and talk contract. But my guess is that they sat down and said, we're not paying you as a top 5 wide receiver. He got up, walked away, and they said, well, we'll let him address it when he wants to address it. But we're not paying him a top 5 wide receiver evaluation. This guy's not a, first of all, Higgins is not a top 5 wide receiver. Let me make that abundantly clear. Higgins is not even a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. Let me make that even more abundantly clear. And this guy thinks he's getting top 10, top 12 wide receiver money. He's out of his mind. And if Cincy does it, which obviously things can happen that I think shouldn't happen, if Cincy does it, they're crazy. You've got him tagged. He can complain all he wants. He's likely to get hurt anyway because he's an injury-prone player. So him holding out and making a fuss about everything is not even going to really change the injury risk. I don't care if he leaves next year. Let him pout and complain. He's not getting the bag if it's me. Does Cincy fold? Maybe. We'll find out. We'll find out if they fold. Cincy could also run right into this draft a bunch of they could grab even 2 wide receivers at such a deep class. At 18, maybe they trade 18 up and get Thomas Jr. Brian Thomas Jr. in Cincinnati would be pretty damn amazing. He's a better receiver than Higgins will ever be. And Higgins owners, go ahead, get mad, upset. That's fine. It's okay. But answer your question, Higgins leaves. I still haven't answered your question yet. Is Jamar Chase wide receiver 1? I don't think I rank him there. I don't think I would recommend anybody put him there. Why? Number 1, he's probably going in a territory in round 1, bro. If this is round 1, he's not going at 1 overall. JJ's no longer probably going at 1 overall. I venture to say Sam Darnold's scaring the piss out of everybody, and Lamb and Hill are the locked in wide receiver 1 and 2. Lamb, Chops, and Hill, let's just say. And then you're gonna have a lot of people saying JJ will be fine. So I think JJ still floats in the middle at the very least. Which, if you're a betting man, a gambling man, a person that says they're gonna go draft a rookie, he'll be fine. Then trade for him, because I bet you his value, not a big downtick, but I bet you're gonna see a little bit of a concern droppage for JJ. So maybe if you're that person, there's 2 sides to this coin. You could buy low by 2-3 draft slots on JJ, or you could sell him in fear. And even with the concern, JJ's still probably ranking above Jamar Chase, but dare I say Chase is right in that 5 to 8 territory, depending on if it's grandma you're drafting with, if it's Maggie from Repo, Bob from accounting, Bill from finance. All those people are going to value these guys differently, but Jamar's definitely going to be in that 4 to 8 overall range. JJ's going to be in that 3 to 5 overall range, maybe 3 to 6 overall range. So, and again, answering Runner Boy's question, because I still have yet to answer it fully, I don't move Chase up to 1. Chase may be quietly my number 3 or 4. He could be right in line with JJ. I might rather have Chase and the extra draft capital if I'm trading down, or if I'm getting crafty, do I draft Chase over JJ if I'm there at 5 overall? I don't know that I could do that yet. I might be more on the side of gambling that Minnesota drafts a rookie. But I think if I had 2 leagues side by side, I'll answer it this way, Runner Boy. 1 league I'd go Chase, 1 league I'd go JJ. So they're pretty close. In redraft. In Dynasty, I don't think I factor in too much. I bite the bullet. I'm at 4 overall. I take JJ and I say maybe I get hit a little bit this year if Minnesota messes this up. But I'm not going to bet against JJ past the top 4 or 5 overall pick in a Dynasty startup. I just can't. But Chase is right there. He's right below him. I'd rather trade down, get some extra draft capital, and draft Chase over JJ, if that makes sense and that helps you out. All right, appreciate you, Runner Boy, dropping the super chat. Any of their super chats get handled right away, so drop them, do it live. Your boy will handle and answer. God, I'm moving 100,000 miles per hour. I can't even pronounce anything. I've been going nonstop. Yesterday, I believe I live streamed for 7 hours. I think it was 4 or 5 live streams over the course of 7 hours. We did it live. We did it well. Your boy's rested, but I'm definitely losing my voice like I usually do about August. I'm losing that early. Who knows if we have it left at any point. My prediction is that one live stream I come in talking like this. I'm going to have my voice gone for about 2 or 3 shows because I'm starting early. These pipes are getting dry. I've got these, I got the prime. Let's. We're good. Appreciate you all being here. Hit that thumb up button on your way in the door. Deontay Johnson going to the Panthers. How do I feel about this? Let me summarize it this way for these Deontay Johnson, believers and truthers are not going to like my answer. Here's a receiver that, in my opinion, is one of the most overrated receivers in the National Football League. Him and Waddle were getting drafted way too high. And Deontay for years. And I've been a big stay away from Deontay at his draft capital type of guy. Constantly. And I feel like here's a guy that drops the football. Doesn't feel like he's the most equipped player to handle adversity, to be honest with you. And now he goes to a situation where he's got a quarterback running for his life. He's got a piss poor situation. He's not going to sniff the red zone as much as he could in other locations. This is not the place. Had he gone to Cincinnati, let's say Higgins was traded. Let's say Higgins was traded for a draft pick, and you haven't even replaced the wide receiver, and they bring Deontay Johnson over. Then all of a sudden I'm going, this looks kind of interesting. But Deontay Johnson catching footballs in this Panthers rebuild that feels so far away from becoming a solid, consistent location, this is the wrong receiver for the job, in my opinion. Now, where's his ADP? Where's his ADP at? Is it worth the risk of entry? Maybe. I don't mind Deontay if he's free. You know what I mean? Like, would I roster him? Yeah, of course I would. That's me being real. I'm not against Deontay the entire way down an ADP board. Like I always tell you guys, there's a flip point in a draft somewhere. If we're talking like you get to like round 10, round 11, round 12, whatever the case may be, and I'm not even saying this is it, but it's like, no. There is a line in the sand, I call it, I've coined, that people copy, and you'll hear other channels start to use it. The line in the sand where a player flips from an avoid into a must-have check mark. Let's ride. Pittsburgh Steelers country, let's ride. That one goes out to Steelers and Ron Navy. I believe that Deontay has, I don't know where it is. I'm just throwing that number out there, around 10, 11, 12. There's a point where he becomes a value. But if anybody's expecting Deontay Johnson to be a wide receiver 2 in fantasy, I'm not going near him at that. I wouldn't even draft him as a wide receiver 3. I would take him as a 4 or 5. He could be a bench guy. I don't even know that I would do it in multiple leagues, but this doesn't do anything for me. Deontay's okay. He's okay. I don't trust him. I don't think the situation's a huge improvement, really. Jimmy Garoppolo, it seems like there are a few teams interested in Jimmy Garoppolo, according to Diana Rossini. Now, I have to tell you that if this report is true, there are a few people that are heading up some organizations that probably need to be replaced. Because anybody that thinks that this man is a starting caliber quarterback, and maybe the report is that teams are interested in him as a backup. If this guy finds a job before Justin Fields gets traded for at 2nd or 3rd round draft capital, I might as well just pack it in. I don't know if I can bear it. I don't know if I can bear reporting on things like that anymore. Jimmy Garoppolo is not a top 32 quarterback. He's not even close. He's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. And all of his deficiencies were masked by the San Francisco attack and scheme. It was a mask for all of his deficiencies. Shanahan hit him. and deployed his few strengths and did well with them for a time. But Jimmy Garoppolo is not a starting quarterback, not to mention he can't stay healthy, and he robs every team he goes to. If there are teams actually interested, let's just say Minnesota kicks the tires on this thing, and Minnesota says, you know what, we wouldn't mind having him compete with Sam Darnold. We feel very comfortable with that. I'm going to lose my mind. If Denver Broncos think that this is a guy that can maybe head up this thing, and they don't go after Fields, I'm losing my mind. Fields better go somewhere. Somebody better smarten up, because this is ridiculous at this point. You have three teams that can turn their franchises around at the risk of a third rounder, second rounder, whatever. Washington, New England, and New York Giants, and draft one of the top wide receivers with each of these picks, but I don't hear a single word from any of these teams. Washington, take Marvin Harrison Jr., trade for Justin Fields on pennies on the dollar. New England, trade for Justin Fields, pennies on the dollar, draft Marvin Harrison Jr. New York Giants, draft Neighbors or Adunze, trade for Justin Fields for pennies on the dollar. I don't know what the hell's going on right now. I feel like I'm in bizarro world. I feel the exact same way I felt last year when not one team went after Lamar Jackson for 2 first-rounders and I lost my mind for like a month and a half straight. I feel like I'm in the same territory. My blood pressure's up. I'm looking at the draft board. I'm saying every time I look at it, Washington, New England, and the Giants, what in the hell are you doing? Who's running these Mickey Mouse situations? Oh, then I remember I love Adam Peters. And then I'm like, okay, he's okay. We'll give him a pass because he's doing great things in Washington. But that's a move I would make. I will say this. I almost would rather have to Adam Peters' defense, and only he gets a defense here. Not because I like him, not because he's a genius, but because they got JD5. Would I want JD5 in a second round receiver over Fields and Marvin Harrison Jr.? It's very debatable because JD5 is that good. JD5 is that excellent. But this should be being kicked around is all I'm saying. I'm pretty pissed off that nobody's kicking around. I'm even a little pissed off that we're not hearing it from Washington a little bit. As much as I love Adam Peters, he'll do all the right things. I firmly believe they got what they're going to get. They're going to be an absolute freaking force. Adam Peters knows what in the hell he's doing long term. But let's just go ahead and kick these tires on Fields, please. If not, JD5 to the moon. JD5 to the moon. Let's see here. I don't know if there's any other news breaking. I've been ranting and raving. Things break while I go live all the time. What are the odds? We got different thing. Let me see if I can find. Any reports going on right now. New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers, shortlist. What? Is on a Robert F. Kennedy Jr. shortlist to be his running mate on the independent presidential ticket in November. What? That's a weird report. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers on Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s shortlist to be his running mate as an independent presidential ticket. Look, I don't like to get political here. I also am not afraid to, but I don't like to get too political because people just take it wrong, and I don't want to have that environment. It's not a matter of me like not being able to like speak my mind if I wanted to. But I love Aaron Rodgers. I could. The only problem I'd have with Aaron Rodgers is he does go off the rails a little bit, and I just I don't want to like be without medicine in the United States or something like that because he says we're all going vegan. That's the only thing that's going to concern me. But look at this. Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers is on Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s shortlist for his running mate on the independent presidential ticket in November. This will be interesting. This is something I can report on. I can see getting into this. All right, let's go back to football. Interesting news for sure. How many people we got in here? We got 316 people, only 58 people to hit the thumb up button. Hit that thumb up button, please. Broncos aren't shopping Cortland Sutton, according to a report here. Let me just see if I can find anything else that is breaking at this moment in time. Eagles additions so far: Saquon, Huff, Gardner Johnson. You've got Devontae Parker. You've got, this team's been busy. Philly's looking fantastic. Philly, I put them on the top here as winning the NFC, the entire NFC, actually. NFC champs, Philadelphia, top of my board. You see at the very, very top of my board. We got to wipe this clean in $50 haulers. New $50 haulers got to get put up there. We had a bunch of bold $50 haulers last year, and so many of them missed because people went crazy bold. We were literally looking for somebody that actually landed something because everybody went nuts on it. And the guy who won it was Bijan Robinson, would be a backup running back in 2024. He won 2023. He won the bold prediction. We voted that as the winner because Arthur Smith treated him as a backup. And he won the actual bold prediction contest when he was trolling. That was hilarious. So we'll be clearing that board off. But anyway, I put that up there. I want to make sure everybody knows that's as of I believe yesterday or the day before I put it up there. 11th, I put it up there on the 11th. March 11th, Philadelphia Eagles smashed the NFC. And they're just doing it live. They're just flat out doing it live. And it's going to continue. So the Eagles, congratulations on what you're doing. Patrick Mahomes, we've got more news here on screen that I haven't gone over actually. Patrick Mahomes has agreed to restructure his contract, converting a huge chunk of his salary to prorated bonus. Mahomes is clearing $21.6 million in space. The back-to-back champs have been quite quiet during the free agency thus far, but this hints at some coming moves by KC. As they embark on their quest to be the NFL's first ever three-peat, which I think there's a strong chance they are. I think it's the Eagles. If I had to predict right now, Eagles versus KC. Eagles versus KC. That's what we're dealing with. That's what we're looking at. I don't know who's going to win yet, but Eagles versus KC. I think the Eagles are going to absolutely smash everybody. I think Kellen Moore is going to retool this thing. I think all the Jalen Hurts haters are going to rethink their commentary. I think some of them will double down, triple down, quadruple down. Some of them will blame it on Barkley. The reason why, Smitty, the reason why Barkley's the reason why Hurts looks good. Smitty, it's Devontae Parker. He's the cause. It's Kellen Moore's system. You take away the tushy-pushy, Smitty, and Hurts is nothing. Hurts can't even do anything without the push. You think of whatever excuse you want. Hurts is a top 5 NFL quarterback. Hurts is a top 5 fantasy quarterback. They go hand in hand. They're not different. Mahomes is getting more money freed up so they can go after a three-peat, and I believe it's really possible. And once that happens, we have a whole new, we've talked about this before. I don't want to get into it right now and get people all pissed off, but we're going to literally be talking about how close he is to Tom Brady after a three-peat. I know people will count the number of rings and say this is what he has to do, but once you drop a three-peat, it's a whole nother measurement that nobody else has, and you start measuring sticks, and it's going to be a different conversation if he wins a three-peat. If he wins the three-peat, as I mentioned a month ago, or over a month ago, we'll be having a weird conversation where people are screaming and yelling at each other because some people are going to flip toward the Mahomes is right there with them. And it'll be an interesting conversation. It always pisses off Brady fans. It really does. But it's, three-peat is going to be crazy if it happens. Calvin Ridley, New England Patriots are pushing to sign this man. But sources believe that he currently prefers to return to Jacksonville. This is where players don't know what in the hell they're doing. For Ridley to want to go back to a place that failed him. For Ridley to want to go back to a place that misused him. For Ridley to want to go back to a place where they just brought in and gave Kirk money. Christian Kirk money. Remember that phrase? Christian Kirk money? Remember last year what did he get? Ziggy, what was Christian Kirk's contract?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, on March 16, 2022, American footballer Christian Kirk signed a 4-year, $72 million contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, that was it. Thank you, Ziggy. That was it. $72 million. $72 million to Christian Kirk. And people would come in and say, they would say, give me that Christian Kirk money. Well, this team did it again. This team's nonstop giving out cash money to wide receivers. They now don't have a spot for Ridley, and Ridley wants to go back. I don't want Ridley anywhere near this situation because now he's even further down in the pecking order, and I don't know why a person in their right mind would even be remotely close to wanting this man to return. Gabe Davis signed a $39 million deal. He didn't get quite Christian Kirk money, but he got big money for a guy named Gabe Davis that drops footballs and inconsistent. Gabe Davis, Christian Kirk money, Gabe Davis money. Ridley wants that money, I know. But who wants Ridley in Jacksonville? Nobody. And he wants it. He wants to go back to a garbage situation for him. I don't understand players. Again, I had a rehab with a very well-known defensive back right next to him. We're side by side because the sports medicine place I went to when I tore my ACL, they handled all the Cardinals, all the Diamondbacks, a bunch of different athletes too, because athletes train in Arizona. Arizona's big for training and spring training and football and all. And I'm sitting there next to I don't want to say his name, but a very high-profile defensive back. This guy knew nothing. I loved him. He's a great player. He knew nothing about who was good, what teams had good defenses. It's crazy what these players really don't know. They're so close to the situation. They're right there. They can't even read the text. They're so close to it. Ridley thinks this is a good spot. Maybe the sources are wrong. Barkley kind of wanted to go back to New York. Why? They mistreated you. They don't have an offense. You're going to get worn down and broken within a year. You'll be done. He goes now to Philly, offensive line, spread out attack. Let's go. Let's ride. Thank God he saw the light. Derrick Henry, for anybody that doesn't know, now a Baltimore Raven, he agrees to Ravens agree to terms with Derrick Henry, formerly of the Titans, on a 2-year deal worth $20 million. This guy's getting $10 million a year. That's right around what the tag is, so it makes sense. All these guys should be getting $10 million a year, except for Eckler, who got, $11 million for 2 years. So that's all the news, other than all the other news I don't want to rehash. You got other shows dedicated to every one of these other pieces of news that broke. The Cousins news, the Mixon news. Mixon was not released. He was traded. Ziggy, show me the front door. This might be, hopefully this is a food delivery. Miss Smitty's surprising me. I'm hungry right now. I don't know. Ziggy. Oh, the mailman. Okay. Ziggy off. That was the mailman. This right here, Rachaad White. I don't know if you guys remember this, but we talked to Rachaad White 22 minutes before the Baker Mayfield news broke, and Rachaad White told us that he's coming back and we're going to have dinners with him. Well, little did we know that we're going to pop bottles, as I think B-Men said. So, fantastic. Rachaad White's the man. Absolute man. Will Jalen Hurts vulture Barkley consistently? It's a good question, Montez, but no, I'm not worried about it because it's not like Barkley, Ziggy off. It's not like Barkley set up to rush for 22 touchdowns. Our expectation is that he gets 12 to 13 to 14 maybe. And there's enough to go around for that in that Philly offense. Kellen Moore is going to utilize Barkley all over the place. And Hurts is going to be fine. He's not going to get vultured by Barkley. Barkley's not going to get vultured by Hurts. Swift did very well. Ziggy, off. Hurts did very well. Swift did very well. This is just a glorified Swift version of Swift in a way. Hit that thumb up button. Almost 400 people in here, and we only have 77 thumbs up. How many people we got from Instagram? Or we don't have Instagram streaming right now. We're streaming to Twitter. We got 125 of you in Tweeterville. Appreciate you. And or X, as they say, as the kids say. But YouTube, hit that thumb up button. Only 77 thumbs up. Appreciate you. Bengals and Chase are teasing something big. Yeah, we're waiting for that news. We're waiting for that. We do know Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are still one of, if not the best stack in fantasy, especially with Joe Burrow being a 6th and 7th round type of pick, with Chase dropping to mid-round 1. And then you've got the Stroud, Tank Dell, and Nico stack. So we got a triple stack and a double stack. Do it live. People are getting burrowed left and right, and people are going to remember it.
Stack above all stacks. It's time to drop the pancake emojis in the live chat.
Drop the pancake emoji in the live chat. Nevin, what do I think of Deontay? Go rewatch the beginning of the show. Not a fan. I think it's a horrible situation. You send a questionable player there anyway, and what do you expect? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Montez. So Barkley, consistent, he's going to be fine. Getting vulture constantly, I don't think so. Barkley has to stay healthy to get enough TDs to make that contract pay off, says Hoosiers. Maybe, but again, running backs aren't paid a lot, bro. This is not that big of a contract at the end of the day. You know, this is like restructure money. Mahomes restructures this kind of money just by moving his pen this way and his pen that way. And then all of a sudden, Barkley's entire contract gets opened up. That's the kind of movement we're talking about. That's what Mahomes just did in KC. What are they going to do? What move do they got going on? Are they bringing in Ridley? Are they bringing in somebody? Are they bringing in Hollywood Brown? I feel like Hollywood Brown's a little sleeper right now. I feel like Hollywood Brown is going to land somewhere really good. We're talking about all these other players. Hollywood Brown, this little sleeping giant right here, he could go somewhere pretty solid. Ridley too, but I think Hollywood Brown is a potential, you could say like a sleeping giant, solid, let's put that, Gabe Davis re-signed. A solid fantasy take, wide receiver 3 type guy, like in best ball. I love it. I love it. Lions, take it all. Smitty, I don't know, Daniel. If I'm being honest, and I'm not a Lions hater at all. You know that. I feel like the Lions got about as far as they could possibly get with Goff. I think they played out of their minds. I think that when I say this, I don't mean it disrespectfully. I mean it in a good way. They got to a place in the playoffs I don't think they really should have been. Which, again, it's not a knock. It's saying that the Lions, they overcame adversity, and they literally should have won this game. They should have appeared in the Super Bowl. They would have got pile drived by the KC Chiefs, but I think that Detroit, this is a very good place to be, and I don't know that I envision them winning it all. I don't think they get past Philly. I think San Fran will still be tough. We'll see what Dallas does. Dallas has been sleeping at the wheel during free agency. I don't understand what the hell's going on there. But I think Philly's going to annihilate everybody on that side of the fence, man. I think it's KC. We'll see what Buffalo does. Buffalo's been sitting on their hands as well. They've been tearing things down, too. I mean, they've made an okay move or two, but they've also released a lot of guys, and they're kind of creating vacancies. We'll see what they do in the draft. Keep in mind, a lot of these teams, even Dallas, they got time because guess what? The NFL draft hasn't happened yet. So we got to be careful not to overjudge a lack of involvement when you look at this thing and you say, well, Dallas didn't go after Henry, they didn't go after Barkley. If they get Jalen Wright, to me, is the best running back in this rookie running back class. I love Braylon Allen a lot, too. They're both very, very good. I got them neck and neck now. I had Braylon Allen slightly ahead of Wright. Now I've got Wright slightly ahead of Braylon Allen because he had such a good combine. And Jalen Wright hits the hole quicker than most players in the National Football League right now. His first 5 yards of his 40, first 10 yards of his 40 were, I think, the number one in the entire class. He is a quick burst, acceleration, and that's the most important amount of yards. I could care less about the 40 time if you tell me that the running back is the fastest during the first 10 yards of the 40. That is the most important part. That's hitting the hole. The elevator doors are closing, and this guy slips through faster than anybody. The elevator doors won't even touch him when most people will have to smash their way through these closing doors and get through the hole. This guy's got a quick step, quick acceleration. If Wright goes to Dallas, which is my point, I'm going off on a tangent. If Dallas takes Wright, and I'm not saying they take him with this pick right here, 24, but in the second round they get him, or they trade up in the second round to ensure they get him. Sometimes these RBs, these top RBs, in a running backs don't go in the first round world, they usually go right at the top of round 2. So pick 35, 36, 37. I believe Javonte went around that. I believe JT. Ziggy, what draft pick was Jonathan Taylor? I believe it was.
In the 2020 NFL Draft, Jonathan Taylor was drafted in the second round.
41.
41st overall.
Yeah,
by the
41st.
Indianapolis Colts.
41st. So the 35 to 45 territory. Thank you, Ziggy. Is right where these RBs usually go in a non-first round environment for RBs, right? Bijan, Gibbs, those were special running backs. This class is not considered to be very special, so you're probably looking at something along those lines. However, you could say that this class is probably a little weaker than the average, class, so maybe these running backs fall even more, so there's a possibility Dallas gets, Wright or Braylon Allen deep in the second round. But regardless, my whole point being, as I sidetrack myself from my sidetrack, is that Dallas could crap the bed now in our eyes, but come into the draft, get their guy, make me excited, and all of a sudden I'm pumped about this Dallas, running back situation. Keep in mind the Dallas Cowboys are currently, we got Henry in Baltimore. We got Blake Corum likely to go to the Chargers if he's there, but we'll take him off the board so we don't confuse anybody. Jacobs to Green Bay is fantastic. Barkley to Philly is fantastic. I believe, and then we got Moss to Cincy. I guess I should put that on the board, right? I'm not a huge fan of that. I don't hate it, but I also don't I'm not sitting here going Moss is going to the moon yet. I could get there. I'm not saying it's impossible for me to start really getting on board Zach Moss and Cincy. I really could, I'm not going to write that idea off. But I think the best landing spot right now, at least it seems, is the Dallas Cowboys for an RB. And it'll be very, very interesting to see what happens once these players start falling. And again, Eckler's in Washington. DeAndre Swift is in Chicago. Devin Singletary is in New York. Gus Edwards is with the Chargers. It's what else am I missing here? Gibson signed with the Patriots, which is weird. Zach Moss is with the Bengals. What else am I missing here? I said Jacobs to Green Bay, Barkley to Philly, Henry to the Ravens, Pollard to the Titans, Eckler. I think I covered almost all of it, right? So crazy interesting. I mean, Houston and Dallas are still the top two landing spots for an RB. The question is, will Houston bring in somebody other than Corum? Or I'm sorry, will Chargers bring in somebody other than Corum? Will Houston bring in somebody like Braylon Allen or Wright? Because then I really like that. Then I really, really like that. Mixon to Houston. Yeah. Oh, did I not put that up there? Yeah, Mixon to Houston. Good one. But at this point, yeah, and I don't think Houston will, for the long term, I would like it, should I say, because Mixon's definitely there for a year. I do not believe Mixon's going to stay healthy. So whatever, if Houston takes a rookie running back, let's say, that is quietly, and Gus, we'll put Gus on the Chargers. That's definitely something we need to put on the board. Let's put everybody on the board. Let's make this official. We probably should put Pollard on here and put Tennessee just so we have the full picture. So Gus, Bus. There we go. I honestly believe the value of RBs is so low in this draft. This is a dynasty quality rookie running back landing spot, but we'll see. I don't think Mixon stays healthy. He's 28 years old. His mileage is huge. I'm not on board with Mixon at a high value. Part of me wonders if in a draft, if you're going to see Mixon go. And you guys tell me, chat, where does Mixon get drafted in a draft right now? If you're drafting right this very second, is Mixon in round 3? Does anybody think he's higher than that? Let's get a vote in here. Put Mixon's name so I know what you're talking about. Mixon in a round. Or a pick, rather. 3.2, 3.5. Give me an actual pick. It'll make it easier. Where are you drafting Mixon? Let's see where you guys put them. Give me a draft slot. 3.4, 3.5, 4.1, 2.12. Give me your draft slot, and then we'll throw it in. Mixon round 5, Mixon 4 to 5, round 3. So 3, 4, 5. We're kind of in, I would say we're third round, ninth, fifth round. I would say the average is putting him around bottom of 3, 4, 5 turn, fourth round. I would say it seems like the 3, 4 turn based on the answers that I'm seeing here. There's a lot of people like me that don't want him anywhere near round 3 or 4, but definitely not third. 4.9, 5 to 6, 3.6 overall. So you guys are all over the map. Mixon 3.9 only because he's with Houston. See, a lot of people still believe in him. It seems like he's going to go, and this is too high for me. The other thing, too, though, to remember is that this is not a strong running back class considered by teams, right? So Houston could very much say, even in the third or fourth round, we're not taking an RB even there, even though they're cheap, they're free. We'll just draft one the next year if Mixon doesn't pan out. We're going to focus on other positions. So probably would be the case. But I still believe long-term it's a great spot if one of these running backs falls there. But at the end of the day, the only true elite spot left is Dallas. Let's put... let me see if I can squeeze Eckler on here just to make sure we get everybody covered. So we've got Gus Bus. We've got Cincy, Mixon to Houston, LAC, Gus Bus, Cincinnati has Zach Moss, Philly has Barkley, Green Bay's fantastic. Green Bay, Jacobs, what a move. Jacobs could have such a good year. Is Jacobs a top 5 to 10 running back? So Buffalo, Baltimore has, well, we'll put Buffalo over here. So Dallas and Buffalo don't have any players yet, so that they've acquired anyway. And so we'll go Tennessee and Washington, right? So we'll put Tennessee over here. They got Pollard. And then Washington. So we'll create this board and doctor it up and make it look accurate. Let me take a couple phone calls, dial into the show. Phone number's right here.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
All right. While I wait for you guys to call in, dial in, let's discuss. I'll finish this board up and make it nice and tidy. And so we're going to have Tennessee here. We're going to have Washington here. And then we'll have everybody on the board, right? If I'm missing anybody, let me know. Washington. What's up, Ron? You're live.
Hey, Smitty, what's going on? I'm just sitting here.
Yellow.
Having a beer. You there?
Yep.
All right. Just sitting here having a beer, seeing that Stonehands is no longer going to be on the Steelers. I'm happy. My buddy made it here today, the one that I play remember the Terminator?
Oh, yeah, yep. Okay.
So I actually let a Miami fan into my house.
Oh, all right. I got you.
His name's Bruce. His name's Bruce. Give him a shout out.
Bruce to the moon. We'll send him to the moon. Bruce to the moon. What do you?
Right. To the moon.
Whoa. Sorry about that. Bruce, calm down. What do you think about? God, my board's acting crazy. What do you think about the Barkley? Let's see. What were we talking about earlier? First of all, you had a low score on Mixon. You had like a low round prediction, like 6th round. You're not going near him either.
Yeah, 6th round. That's what I put.
Yeah. I think he's at the tail end.
Oh, I'm sorry, Aurora.
Just catching up.
You want to jump in here, Aurora? Go ahead. What's up,
I'm
Aurora?
not talking, bro. That's them.
No, hey, Smitty, that was my buddy.
Okay. I was like, go ahead, Aurora. Jump right in. Well, while we're at it, Aurora, what do you think? Where's Mixon going?
I'm not touching Mixon, quite frankly. I agree with them. I was drafting Mixon a couple years in a row, and just personally, I'm fed up. But the Saquon thing, I just wanted to add in on that because you were talking running back by committee, and I'm an Eagles fan, so that's like something all too common that I've watched with them. But I don't think you pay, I don't think you should be worried from a fantasy perspective. I think I know you're not. I'm just saying in general. I think if anybody should be worried, it's Kenneth Gainwell in terms of just him being a second spot back. I think if anything, it's going to keep Saquon fresh, and then I think you don't pay that much to a running back if you're not going to play him mostly as a 3-down back. So, yeah, I'm not concerned about that. But, yeah, I'm not touching Mixon, to your point.
Yeah, Mixon it's been a long time. Mixon's been literally run into the ground for years, and I don't think people realize how long he's been, getting abused by being like the only part of the offense for so many years. Like, he basically has been waiting for this moment for this team to be this good, and he's hung in there. Like, I'll admit, I thought Mixon was gonna break down before now. Like, I really expected it last year. He did very well. He had a very solid year last year for the most part, and they moved on. They moved on because I think they feel like, he's problematic. He's an off the field concern too. And I don't know why so many people love to go to his defense. I get it. Innocent till proven guilty. I'm very much an advocate of that. I don't want anybody to think I feel differently about that. But at the same time, this guy leveled a woman in college, and people could say that's in the past, whatever. There's constant stuff popping up. Yeah, he gets cleared from it, whatever, but he stayed out of the news for a while, for sure. But I think I reserve the right to say Mixon is on my Planet Uranus list and probably will never be removed. Let's go ahead and hit that real quickly. Here we go.
And off he goes.
Whoa! He got removed. Uranus. Where's Mixon? I'll have to find him. Where did Mixon go? There's Shanahan. I'll have to find him. I just said he'd never be removed, and he's not even on there. Okay, I think I got the running back.
It's already removed.
Yeah, I didn't mean to though. Here's the running back board. Dallas is the best landing spot left for RBs. I think dynasty-wise, Houston's intriguing, but I don't think that they're necessarily, like I said, going to spend it. Buffalo is maybe it's a good spot, maybe it isn't. Whoever they bring in, they probably wouldn't use anyway. But Dallas is the number one landing spot. Dallas is probably the top potential prospect for a rookie running back too. Isaac, I'm so sorry about the wait. Isaac, you still here? What do you think about that Las Vegas will do with their backfield? I think right now we're going to assume it's Zeus, but I don't want us to all get very, very disappointed that they don't keep Zamir White in that role and they bring in a rookie to compete. They probably will, but how deep will they draft a rookie and will it be a big name? If it's not a big name, I'm not concerned. The free agent running backs are pretty much dried up. So I'm not worried about anybody. I could see him bringing in like A.J. Dillon. I got to clean this board up too. Singletary signed, Eckler signed, Dillon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. There's not a lot left. It's rookies. So at the end of the day, I think what we do is we put Zeus, Zamir White on the Moon Man list and remove Tajay Spears. Is probably what we're going to do. I think that's appropriate. I hate to do it, but it is what it is. Tajay lost, some of his ability to explode, in fantasy because they made a move. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You can't stay on the Moon Man list forever. Sometimes a younger astronaut trains for a mission and they get a hold of your seat. Aurora, what else you got?
That was it. In terms of the Eagles, last thing, the Devontae Parker you mentioned, I wouldn't touch that guy. I don't think he can separate. They're going to draft a receiver, which is my thoughts later. But, I do think heading into the draft, if nothing happens, and that's an if, because obviously trades or whatever can go down, but I think obviously, like you said, Dallas has the best running back room, or in terms of spot for a running back to come in and perhaps make an immediate impact. And I think Minnesota, of course, now I don't know how that would translate to fantasy, but I do think, obviously, with the amount of weapons they have, that's like a quarterback's dream. So, I'm not sure if they would have to trade up, or I think they're the 11th overall pick. But I would just trade for Fields if I was them. I know you've mentioned that and whatnot. And Kevin O'Connell, he's dealt with quarterbacks that are kind of, not great at all, especially when Kirk went down. And it's like, I think Nick Mullins threw for 400 yards in one game with them. So it's like, I think he can do it with a quarterback that's like Justin Fields, and he can develop him. It's more so, I don't know if they're actually going to pull the trigger.
It makes me angry when we hear things like Jimmy G has got some interest, and it's like Fields doesn't have interest, but these idiots out there, whoever they are contemplating, whatever 2 or 3 teams are contemplating Jimmy Garoppolo. And the only teams that those could be would be Denver, and they seem, it's no offense, Denver fans. I'm not saying Denver fans are idiots or anything like that, but you've got a coach that literally tried to lose games because he was worried preemptively that his quarterback could get hurt. His quarterback wasn't hurt. His quarterback had an injury clause that was in his contract, and the quarterback and the head coach, Sean Payton, and the brass of Denver said, you either rescind your injury clause or we're benching you while you're playing good and winning games. If I was a fan, I would have. That's almost disownable. I always make fun of people when I almost make fun of people when they disown their team. Like, you're not a true fan if you're going to disown the team. But like, I'd almost be to the point where like, my team doesn't even want to win a game. My coach in my organization actually would rather take away the injury clause and lose games when the quarterback said Russell Wilson was just ramping up. He's starting to look good. Commentators every game were like, he's back. And I didn't think he was back, but he was doing better things. He was becoming semi-dangerous Russ again. And you had this coach step in and say, we're benching you, son, unless you rescind your injury clause. It's despicable. And so this does feel like the organization and a coach that would view Jimmy G as a solution. And if the Denver Broncos or any team brings in Jimmy G, I'm going to have the biggest smile on my face unless it's the Washington Commanders. And I'm going to be so disappointed in everything that's going on there. They're not, look, Peters knows. I just hope Peters doesn't have a blind spot for Jimmy G, given he came from San Francisco. But I think he's way smarter than that. But, God, Jimmy G, who's looking at Jimmy G? Who? New Orleans as a counterpart to Carr? Las Vegas is obviously done with them.
PEDs to ride the bench.
So. Denver comes to mind. Minnesota comes to mind. Denver and Minnesota come to mind as the 2 teams that are probably kicking the tires on Jimmy Garoppolo. And as much as you had good things to say about pieces of Minnesota is made tremendous mistakes right now. I don't trust Minnesota at all. If they think Sam Darnold's the guy, and it does seem fitting that Darnold, former Niner, and Jimmy Garoppolo, former Niner, collide together and become the transformer in potential, number 1 quarterback over in Minnesota. This is ridiculous. How about that? If Minnesota truly believes that Jimmy Garoppolo or that Sam Darnold's the answer, they probably believe Jimmy Garoppolo is pretty good. Garoppolo is the worst option out there. And for Minnesota not to be like, hey, I have a question. Excuse me, Chicago, you're not getting any bites. What if we gave you a 3rd rounder for Fields? I mean, maybe that conversation does
but Smitty,
rear its head.
Think it does, it's going to happen, I feel like, at some point. Just because I think Caleb Williams going to Chicago is the worst-kept secret. And at some point, they're going to lose all their leverage. And I think Chicago, by the way, for Caleb, I don't even know if I'm Caleb Williams, I don't want to go to Chicago, seeing what they've done to quarterbacks. But at the same time, it's like, I think they have to trade.
I do agree with you. At the end of the day, we're coming in here at some point on a live stream, emergency live stream, and we're firing up a Fields is going here. I have a bad feeling it could be Denver, and I'm going to be optimistic to a degree because he's leaving a very bad situation, but I'd be very fearful he's going to a bad situation. So Denver is not my favorite place. There's a very high likelihood they don't fix him because Fields is broken. For every person in here that gets mad at me and says Fields is garbage, blah, 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 how come you like Fields? I'm admitting every time I talk about him, he's broken. And he's in bust mode right now. He's got one limb hanging on. And you can't run him out there that way or he will bust. You need to bring somebody in that will protect him, cultivate him, fix him, and motivate him and surround him with talent and not make him do everything by himself. Denver doesn't feel like the best place, but it's better than Chicago. Minnesota feels like a much better place, and if they did that, I'd much more understand Sam Darnold because Sam Darnold could be their backup quarterback, not their backup plan. The only problem I'm kind of ranting and raving on is that we heard reports, they could be wrong reports, but we heard reports that if Cousins did end up going elsewhere and Minnesota didn't retain him, their backup plan for Cousins was Sam Darnold. And we're like, that can't be true. Yeah. Then they bring in Sam Darnold. So part of me does believe that there was something said about this guy being potentially their starting option. Otherwise, I don't think those dots would have been so quickly connected. And so I'm very fearful that it's not going to be a rookie at 11. I'm very fearful they won't go for Fields. But if they do, that will repair a lot of the confidence problems I have in Minnesota right now. Because if they think Sam Darnold's the answer, they're going to tank the entire thing. And JJ's value just takes a big nut kick. Even though he's quarterback proof to a degree, you're kicking one of his nuts. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I think I agree with you. I think Darnold to Minnesota, I mean, that's been reported, of course, that's been their option that they want to proceed with after Kirk. But if you listen to Kevin O'Connell, and I can even send you this, he was on Pro Football Talk like 2 weeks ago, and he was saying he was extremely confident that them and Kirk Cousins would get a deal done. So I wouldn't say that, like, all this talk that Sam Darnold is, the option if Kirk leaves. I don't think they actually truly expected Kirk to leave. I think Kirk was just fed up with it at a certain point, and he decided he's going to Atlanta. And, for me, I agree with you. If he goes to Denver, Justin Fields, that's a bad situation for him because it's like the old adage, Justin Fields, he can get coached to do some things properly here and there. Now, with a good coaching staff, he can do that all the time. He can get coached and reach that potential where he's doing the right thing most of the time.
We've talked about this before, the very best spot for him, the two best spots for him. I like New England because it's new, it's fresh, and they can build around him. But the two best spots are Washington and the Giants. And the Giants are such a good spot because I do believe in Dable. I do think Dable could turn him into his next project. Look what he did with Josh Allen. And for everybody that thinks that Josh Allen's always been amazing, you forget all the uphill battles I had when I said he was a top 1 to 5 quarterback before he took a snap in the NFL. Coming off of his rookie year, I was getting chastised left and right. Smitty, he can't throw. He's only a running quarterback. They're going to make him a running back. He's not a good thrower at all. Dable molded him. Dable sculpted him. And even though I don't know what in the hell he's doing over here, maybe he's got no control over the personnel. I don't really know what in the hell's happening, to be honest. Because the Giants are sharting the bed harder than I've seen a team shart the bed in a while. Letting Barkley go, signing Danny Dimes to this awful contract. They better be taking a quarterback here or trading for Fields or whatever. But you put Fields in Dable's hands, draft Neighbors or a Dunze, all of a sudden you have a team. The Giants have a team.
Yeah.
And the Giants are just going to squander it. I know it.
But I agree.
I hope to God that Dable is able to make this move and he sees Fields as his best option. Because Fields isn't perfect. If Fields was perfect, he wouldn't be getting traded. So everybody needs to understand he's broken. He's broken. Can you find somebody that can fix him? Dable can fix him. So Fields and a Dunze. Fields and Neighbors. Fields and even Brock Bowers. I'd much rather have the receiver, though. You could go Bowers, Ridley, and Fields, though. You could go Hollywood Brown, Bowers, and Fields. Those are all amazing options. And then you draft Wright or Corum or Braylon Allen or Bucky Irving or whatever the hell later on in the draft. I could turn the Giants franchise around in a night. In one single night, I could turn the Giants franchise into one of the most exciting teams up and coming. They look like the Houston Texans in a year and a half, 2 years from now.
And they got a D-line right now, too. So
it's mind-boggling to me that you have people and somebody, as much as everyone makes fun of this, but somebody someday, like Moneyball. Remember Moneyball, how weird it was that this guy's making decisions based on numbers and all that. I feel like in a weird way, a fantasy mind, not any fantasy mind, but the right fantasy mind should be a part at some point. There'll be somebody that gets pulled into the scouting world. I'd love to raise my hand for it. I would love to help a team scout. And I don't think we're taken seriously because there's all these people, Mickey Mouse, content creators, they put on their Instagram, I'm an expert, and now they're an expert. So it's almost a joke now how many people are experts, but like somebody that has like a proven track record for calling stuff. Can you imagine if you brought somebody in that could see at we look from a different lens? And I know it's going to be made fun of. Football only people that don't play fantasy be like, what a joke. He doesn't know ball. He just knows fantasy. It's totally different. You can't know fantasy until you know football. So it's weird that people say that, number one. But good God, we look from a different lens. Fantasy football, a true, really good analyst will look from a lens of what is the outcome. If not what is he now, what can he be? And I feel like most scouts are looking at what they are now more so than what they can be. And I swear to you, I could walk into it. I admit there's a chance I burn the franchise to the ground as well. I'm not a complete 100%, home run hitter, but I'll either burn it to the ground or it'll be a contender within 2 to 3 years. I mean, tell me I'm wrong. Fields, I'm not saying he's perfect, but Fields to Dable, Neighbors or Dunze, you bring in Hollywood Brown as well, you draft one of the top 3 or 4 rookie running backs, and you let it ride. Like, that's how you build.
No, I agree. I mean, that's better than the position he's been in with Chicago for a long time. So, yeah, certainly. I would expect if he's going to any situation like New York or Washington, more so New York, that they would do something like that.
Going from Barkley to Singletary is embarrassing. I will admit this, as much as what Singletary did last year was amazing. And I want to make sure we pat him on the back, and say Singletary played great. He played fantastic. And no one's saying he's a bad player. But ESPN was talking about this earlier. They had some amateurs on ESPN talking about football. And they were sitting there going, I really think Singletary's an upgrade from Barkley. Look at the production last year. You're going to upgrade the production. They kept saying that word. You're going to upgrade the production with Singletary this year. Barkley was squeezing so much more out of that situation than anybody else could. And that's why I say Barkley is a top 5 to 10 running back this year, because we're judging that man wearing handcuffs and playing football for years. Nobody's remembering that he's been handcuffed. He's literally been handcuffed. He's had one leg handcuffed to the other, and he's out there just jumping around trying to get yards, and nobody realizes he's just been freed from those handcuffs, and now he can use all of his extremities. And this man's going to go into this Philadelphia situation with that Philadelphia line and start ripping off 5.5, 6 yards per carry, and we're going to be like, holy crap, how did this guy stay dormant in New York for so long? As much as I love Singletary, he was great. He was an amazing fit for Houston, but he was partly a product of an amazing running back environment. And so that's why I wanted Barkley. That's why I wanted Barkley in Houston so bad, because I think he would have done what Singletary did times 5. But Singletary going.
Sorry, I was just going to say the people saying that are idiots, because Barkley. He had so many. One, he's one of the most freakish athletes, I think, in the NFL. But 2, he had so many runs where he was supposed to be contained, like you said, behind the line of scrimmage, and he just pulls off, 8-10 yards out of nowhere, and you're like, that's one of the best runs I've ever seen. And it's not something you see on the stat sheet all the time because it's not even as many yards as he's probably supposed to get behind a good O-line.
I'm telling you, bro, we're going to see Barkley look so much different. And people, just like I liken the Barkley being freed and going to Philly with a good offensive line and no handcuffs on anymore. I liken that to the entire Atlanta Falcons offense getting a quarterback. The fact that people aren't saying to themselves right now, holy crap, the Atlanta Falcons have a defense that underperform because they're always on the field. So let's stop judging that. Everybody goes, they didn't have that good of a... Okay, whatever, Bob. You do it, you do you. But for people to not understand that you're literally looking at this arsenal that has been without any sort of leadership, or the keys to the cabinet have not been unlocked, and all these weapons have been sitting in the cabinet, and you finally unlock the cabinet, you get Kirk Cousins, and everybody's just going, I don't know what it's going to be. It's like they forget what London's capable, what Pitts is capable, what Bijan's capable, what Barkley's capable. Kirk Cousins to Atlanta is the equivalent to Barkley now getting an offensive line and going to the Eagles. We're about to watch a lot of weapons just explode in 2024, and I'm here for all sides of that. It's going to be unbelievable. But Barkley stays healthy, which is one big caveat, which we can't control, and it is something to worry about for sure. He's going to go crazy. And yes, Jacob's the same thing. Jacob's the same thing in Green Bay, though, because Green Bay, they're coming into their own right now. Jacobs runs really hard, and as somebody I've been critical of in the past of Jacobs, you know I'm an adjust and adapt person if you hear me talking positive about Jacobs. Jacobs is going to go, if he stays healthy, and ball out in Green Bay for a year or two. I don't know how much time he has left. He's taken a beating, but give him 2 years, and then we'll talk after that. Jacobs is going to have a fantastic year. Jacobs, Barkley, these guys just up their fantasy value tons. And none of us saw Jacobs to Green Bay happening. That came out of nowhere. That was crazy. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, he's just a younger version of Aaron Jones, and he's a better back at this point too. So, I mean, in terms of, how long is he under contract? I'm not sure how long they signed him for, but he's definitely, I would pick him over Aaron Jones. So they made a great decision there, and a lot of things they can do that they were doing with Aaron Jones, I think, a bit more efficiently.
Yeah, Jacobs, his deal was, I'm forgetting all the numbers off the top of my head. What was his contract? Let's see here. Josh Jacobs contract. Let me pull it up here.
4-year, $48 million.
Yeah. So 2024. Yeah. So it is a 4-year, $48 million. Let me put it on screen so everybody can see what I'm looking at. What a nice deal. It's a nice deal for one. It's a nice deal for him considering he's an RB and they're getting totally underpaid, but it's also a nice deal for the Green Bay Packers, who are building something special. And now they've got a younger version of Aaron Jones. He really is just Aaron Jones reset is what he is. 4 years, $48 million, signing bonus at 12.5, which is fantastic for him. Congrats to Jacobs, honestly. As much trash as I've given him over the years. Anybody wondering why I've given him a bunch of heat is mainly because of his mentality and he's a head case in some ways, because he tried to fight his fan base. And anybody who didn't remember that story, in a nutshell, he told everybody he was injured on his Instagram. He got so tired of fantasy football, people coming for him. And I don't blame people for getting tired of it, but that's part of your job. Part of your job is to deal with the media, deal with the fans. Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. You don't think I deal with people talking to me all day? I have to deal with it. It's part of their job. Boo-hoo for me. You know, I'm dealing with people constantly saying things to me. It's part of the job. You can get mad. You can spout off a little bit. But in no way should you, as an NFL athlete being paid by an organization, tell people, your own fan base, to meet you at the stadium, put the addresses, say, come fight me. So he blocked me on social media because I ripped on him for that, and I was going nuts saying, he was like, come fight me, to like 5 different fans. He told everybody he was injured and he wasn't playing. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but the fantasy world benched him as a whole. The whole entire fantasy world benched him because on his Instagram he put, not playing today, guys, sorry. And everyone's like, oh my God, and the whole fantasy world, including me, went live on it. We're like, Jacobs just put on Instagram, he's not playing today, get him out of your lineup. And then we saw him in warm-ups, and then he played, and then he had like 2 points. So everybody that benched him ended up doing better, and then he got clowned on harder, and it was a big old thing. Anyway, that's behind him. I'm not holding that against him. I can adjust and adapt, obviously. This guy signs a 4-year, $48 million deal. He's getting paid is 2025. So there's a potential out, though, in 2025. It's very team-friendly. His dead cap in 2025 is $9.3 million. That's nothing. If he doesn't work out, very team-friendly deal. The Green Bay Packers can cut him next year. That's $9.3 million in dead cap. That's nothing with the cap increases. That's like chump change to the NFL. And they can, if they make him a post-June designation cut, they can spread that out over 2 years too. So it'd be $4 million and $4.5 million, whatever. So nothing. That's team friendly. It's a smart contract. And what it's smart for Jacobs too, though, because he's getting $12.5 million signing bonus, and then his salary's $1.2 million, and he gets so he gets that $12 million signing bonus. The total guarantee is $12.5. So, that's smart for him, because if he goes and balls out, they're going to keep him, and he's going to keep accruing the money. But he's getting that guaranteed 12.5 up, pretty much up front. So it's awesome for him. It's good. It's a good deal for all sides. I love it. I love it. Jacobs to the moon. Honestly.
Yeah, and it certainly helps Jordan Love in terms of, because when you saw his stretch of games, especially when they were winning, they had the run game, going off from what I can remember. So, yeah, it certainly helps, Jordan Love's stock in fantasy, I would imagine.
Yeah. Guys, hit that thumb up button. 117 of you have. Thank you very much. We got 340 total in the building. About on and off 200 on YouTube. Hit that thumb up button, please. Appreciate you. All right, Ron Navy, anything else from you, pal? Or what's his name? What's his name? Dougie?
We're good. We got the girls out here talking and that, so we're gonna let you go.
All right. What's his name? Dougie? What's his name again?
No, Bruce.
Bruce. That's right, Bruce. I'm sorry.
Bruce and his wife Thelma.
They've
been friends for over 30 years. So.
All right. Don't
40 years.
Don't tell him that we didn't make this for him, but we'll hit the Bruce is loose button.
The Bruce is loose.
All right, later, Ron. Appreciate you.
All right, thanks, Smitty. Later.
Rora, any final thoughts, bro?
No, that's it. I think you're totally spot on, and I think the field stuff, we're all seeing this in the moment. So, I think, as you mentioned, try not to get too carried away because we didn't have a draft yet. And I think before that, not even with field, just in general, but we're going to see, definitely more trades happening. So, yeah, I'm interested in seeing what happens. But, everyone was tampering before this period to begin with, so it feels like everything in free agency almost is over with now.
But, yeah. The thing that's concerning, though, about Fields is that you're looking at teams that, and if we go through the pecking order and we say, okay, Caleb goes to Chicago, Washington takes JD5. Drake May goes to New England, just slotting them into places. AZ's got Kyler. Chargers got Herbert. Giants got Danny Dimes, but could they go quarterback? If they do, then it'll make a problem potentially for these teams downstream, and then they'll trade for Fields. So we're really rooting for the Giants to do the right thing and take a quarterback. But if they don't take a quarterback, Atlanta's got a quarterback, Tennessee's not going quarterback, and let's say the Giants crap the bed and don't go quarterback, then you've got Minnesota taking Bo Nix or Penix Jr., Denver taking Bo Nix or Penix Jr. LV is now your only option, but they just brought in Minshew and they have O'Connell, so you wonder if they're even interested in trading for Fields anymore. New Orleans, you've got nobody left. So if the Giants scoop up one of the quarterbacks, you got McCarthy still. So with McCarthy, Bo Nix, and Penix Jr., all being probably consumed by these teams, you need a team that doesn't necessarily 100% need Fields to trade for him. So that's why the market's cooling off. This Cousins not returning to Minnesota situation is what opened the can of worms, or closed the can of worms, you could say. And now Atlanta, who is very, very much the favorite to get Justin Fields, is now not in need of him. So he literally saw his market dry up right there. I don't believe his market was dry. I believe his market was very Atlanta Falcon dependent. And unfortunately, if it goes Caleb, JD5, Drake May, Bo Nix, JJ McCarthy, and then if let's say the Giants don't take a quarterback, then you have Bo Nix or Penix Jr., whichever one, going to one of these situations here, Las Vegas, New Orleans, or Seattle. Like, Seattle will take Penix Jr. if he's there, because they've got the Washington offensive coordinator now there in Seattle. He wants his quarterback, Penix Jr. Ryan Grubb and Penix Jr. is amazing together. So we're relying on on New Orleans or Las Vegas to trade for Fields. In Denver, in Minnesota. These 4 teams back to back to back to back. Minnesota, Denver, Las Vegas, New Orleans. Because I don't think the Giants have it in them to understand he's a great value. I don't think New England does. I don't blame Washington for wanting JD5 over him. I really think I would have a tough time passing on JD5. In fact, I would probably say this. At the end of the day, I probably want JD5 over Fields. But Marvin Harrison Jr. with Fields is just so tempting. It makes it a harder decision. You know what I mean? Like, because that's a whole different argument. So JD5 and Leggett in the second round or something. JD5 and Corley. Is that better than Fields and Marvin Harrison? Maybe not. That's probably why I do end up doing it. If I'm in a box and you're like, Smitty, you got 10 seconds. Let me see what I would do. 10 seconds. Fields and Marvin, or JD5 and Leggett. 5, 4, 3, 2. Fields and Marvin. I just blurted it out. I don't know if I should have done that or not, but I did it. Fields. So no excuse. Washington, New England, New York Giants, what are you doing? If they don't go after Fields, I don't think they will. I hope they do. Minnesota, Denver, Las Vegas, New Orleans. This is Fields' row right here. This is Fields' territory. This has got to happen. If it doesn't happen, I don't know what we're doing. I don't know where he's going to go. It's not like there's a lot of openings. Kirk Cousins screwed it all up. He screwed it all up. I'm not mad at him, because honestly, I don't have that much invested in Fields personally. You know, like, I don't care if Fields goes away and withers away and doesn't ever do anything again. I'm more worried about Atlanta. So Atlanta is fine. I'm fine. We got Bijan. We got London. We got Kyle Pitts to worry about. Fields is nothing really that I even... people might think I love Fields. I don't really care one way or another. But this is what these teams need to do. You know? All right, bro. Appreciate you.
The signing is great. It's just... it's still like he tore his Achilles at that age. He played unbelievable last year. I'm just saying it's a little tough. Like, how do you even judge that? Grizzly. I mean, do you just see him going in the right direction and you're like, okay, we're going to be comfortable giving you this much?
To the moon.
But yeah, it's definitely it's a great signing. So.
All right, bro.
Smitty, I'll let you go.
Appreciate you later.
All right.
Grizzly Slimes became an exclusive member. Thank you, Grizzly. Appreciate you. Grizzly also gifted 5 exclusive memberships, I might add. Grizzly Slimes to the freaking moon.
To the moon.
I appreciate Grizzly coming in strong. If you got a gifted membership from Grizzly, please drop him a fire emoji, an eggplant emoji, a thumb up emoji, whatever you feel conveys your gratitude to Slimes for dropping a gifted membership. Appreciate you. Bears did one good trade where they stole from the Panthers. Did they? Prime? Everyone says that about Ryan Poles in this trade. You stole from the Panthers. What did you steal? You stole your chance to have CJ Stroud. And I don't want to hear he wasn't the number 1 quarterback. That's not the case, number 1. And number 2, it's not the point. You know, I think that the Chicago Bears didn't do this grand move everybody keeps claiming they did. The best trade ever in the history of the NFL, passing on CJ Stroud. And Stroud was very much in the QB1 conversation, not for the Panthers, but for everybody else he was. how we feel about, and not that Stroud would have done well in Chicago. Let me make that point abundantly clear. If Stroud went to Chicago, maybe we're talking about him being a bust. If Stroud went to Carolina, we might be talking about him being a bust. So at the same token, I would say it's not necessarily something that should have happened at all. I love Stroud where he is. He needs to be in Houston. I'm merely saying I don't believe that this situation is what everybody acts like it is. Pickens and all the targets now, at least, says Ray G. New York needs 2 QBs first. New York needs to lose 2 QBs first, Bob says. I don't know what that's referring to. I would say New York needs to draft a quarterback here if they're smart, or trade. I would trade for Justin Fields. If I was the Jets, I would go, A-Rod, listen to me. Just calm down. You're running for president anyway in December, aren't you? Or VP. You're going to be busy. If anybody didn't know, Aaron Rodgers reportedly, the New York Jets quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, is on Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s shortlist to be his running mate on the independent presidential ticket in November. So he's going to be busy anyway. I would just say, hey, A-Rod, what do you say if you become VP? You can't play football anyway. Can we go trade for Fields just in case you end up in the White House? Can we just please go get our hands on Justin Fields for a third rounder? Put him on the bench. You meander around campaign headquarters, in November anyway. Maybe we give him a go. If I'm the Jets, I do it. I do it. I seriously do it. I trade for Fields. I don't care what anybody says. It makes sense. Yeah, Houston Texans are going to be a top 10 defense. Houston Texans are building something special. It's amazing. It all centers around Stroud. And what an amazing pick he ended up being. Houston hit a home run with that. That should have been Chicago. They're trying to rename the stadium RFK again. Jeremy says, I'd draft Jacobs after this move. Didn't go near him with the Raiders. Again, as I said last year, he would probably bust on everybody. And he definitely became a disappointment maker. But Jacobs in a new home, I love him. You might even see Jacobs on the Moon Man list very, very soon. I love him. He's going to have a big year. He's going to have a fantastic year. He's going to be amazing in Green Bay. Absolutely amazing. We got Isaac with a $5 hauler. What if Ridley goes to KC for a year with the new cleared cap space? That's what we were talking about earlier, Isaac. That it sounds really weird that all this cap space is being freed up by Mahomes reconstructing his contract, freeing up $20-something million. I think that something's brewing. I think Ridley to the Chiefs is very, very likely to happen. So I have a feeling, if I had to predict, Isaac, we will be live on Ridley to KC or Hollywood Brown to KC. One of the 2 wide receivers landing in KC seems very likely because these are the top 2 wide receivers left on the wide receiver free agent board. Ridley, Hollywood. Gabe Davis just signed. I could actually put Gabe Davis up here because we're kind of organizing this in this way here. So Hollywood Brown's available. Ridley's available. Noah Brown's available. Those guys. Mooney's not. Mooney's gone too. Mooney's gone. God, I gotta clean this up. This board. These boards look so different, and I didn't have time to do it before the show. So let me just put that. Mooney signed. Hollywood or Ridley to KC. I feel like that's why this money's being freed up. They could do another move too. There could be another massive move coming downstream. Thank you, Isaac, for the super chat. Appreciate you, my guy. And then what was the other part of your question? Does it matter who the Giants, Bears, or Broncos sign at QB with their O-line? That's why I don't really want Denver to be the Fields landing spot, to be honest with you. The Bears, I don't want Fields staying there because I think the Bears will bust on them. The Giants, I think the Giants, part of their offensive line problems are that they don't have a good quarterback, though. You know what I mean? So Dable, I think if he was handed a Fields, he would actually have the offensive line. Not that you wouldn't address it, too. You'd address it. Doing pretty well. Mixon, to me, is top 8 in fantasy. Says golf is life. I don't hate the take, but I don't share the opinion. But I don't hate the take. I think Mixon's in a good spot. I just don't know that I trust him at the age of 28, but we'll see. Hollywood Brown is going to be nice for somebody. Absolutely. He's one of the biggest sleepers right now that's still on the board, the free agent board. I think Hollywood Brown and Casey would be unreal. I think that's exactly what Mahomes could use. I think it's better than Ridley in a way, but I think Ridley or Hollywood does land in Casey. I think that's why they are freeing up the money. No doubt about it. Thank you for the super chat, young man. Appreciate you. Isaac to the moon. Isaac to the freaking moon. Be honest with you. Let's see here. What you boys think about Moss to Cincy? I like it, but I don't love it. I think the Bengals should have went bigger. I think the Bengals and every team that did not get Barkley, so everybody but the Eagles, crapped the bed because Barkley was absolutely the answer. It's going to be all Zamir White. I know the Raiders GM is terrible at picking running back Zamir White to the moon. Look, Zamir White's going to replace. In fact, we could just do it right now, to be honest with you. I mean, maybe we got to celebrate it a little bit more. But let's put Zamir White on the Moon Man list and replace. It is what it is. We're replacing Tajay Spears because he can't be on there anymore.
The Moon Men, dropping loads in outer space.
Space Monsters.
Zamir White. Let's change the colors of this bad boy and get some Steeler gray in here. It's going to be a guess in terms of the colors. I don't have the exact colors, so bear with me. Zamir White, put him right there. Okay, Zamir White, and drop his face on here. Zamir, welcome to the Moon Man list. We'll make a formal announcement later. This is not official. Well, it is official, but it's not officially announced. The people will not necessarily know that this happened unless you're watching this show live right now. Let's go ahead and run this back one more time like we mean it. Zamir White, welcome to the Moon Man list.
The Moon Men, dropping loads in outer space.
Look at him. Look at him. He's a Moon Man. Space Monster.
Space Monsters.
Indeed. Could Casey get both of Hollywood and Ridley? I suppose, but I don't know that they wouldn't. I don't know. I think one. I think they just go after one. But they do have like no wide receiver. They need to get wide receivers. It wouldn't be a crazy move. But do I think they do it? No, but wouldn't be crazy. Yeah, if they draft a rookie, a really good rookie, then we're gonna have to rethink the freaking Zamir White situation. Bijan going to Saturn this year. You bet your bottom dollar he's one of the first Saturn men.
The Saturn Men.
One small step for man, one giant leap for
Saturn. There he is. Look at him.
Spaceman.
Of course he's going to Saturn. Abe, what do I look like? A moron? Of course he's going to... Abe, we're taking him there, and we're doing it live. We're doing it live, Abe. Bro fisted out. Ridley, I think, goes back to Jacksonville. Tyler, if he does, it will be a travesty. It's like, why would you go back to the team that abused you? You know, because they gave you flowers? Like, what is going on here? Damn, I must have missed AR5 being a Saturn man. Of course you did. Where have you been? Here's the Saturn men.
The Saturn Men.
Look at him.
One small step for man, one giant leap for
Saturn. Here's the Mars men.
He's on a shuttle to Mars.
London, Stroud,
Mars
McBride,
men.
Bowers, Monsters, Moon Men.
The Saturn Men.
Oh, Moon Men.
The Moon Men, dropping loads in outer space.
Bijan's going to the freaking moon. Maybe the triple stack is Stroud, Nico, Tank Dell. The double stack is Jamar and Burrow. And the quad stack is Cousins, Bijan, London, Kyle Pitts. I mean, we talked about it. Fields went there, but look.
The stack above all stacks.
I don't
it's
know.
Time to drop the pancake
What I do know-
emojis in the live chat.
What I do know is I have a particular set of skills that make me dangerous for your league mates, skills that I've acquired over a long career, skills that make me a nightmare for your league mates. And the Revenge Tour group just got 2 more additions, and so far, and this was not planned, our Revenge Tour is so far all 4 of the Atlanta Falcons. And Fields was on here. Cousins qualifies because he's coming back from an Achilles tear, and he's on a Revenge Tour. Kyle Pitts is on a Revenge Tour. We have literally all 4 of the Revenge Tour candidates. Not planned. This is not supposed to be a team effort. All 4 of the Revenge Tour candidates are the Atlanta Falcons offense. And I couldn't be more pleased with this group here. Let's run it back like we mean it. Here we go. It's time for some revenge, baby. Revenge Tour, Revenge Tour. Revenge Tour, Revenge Tour. There you go. Do it live. Do it live. I'm going Bijan, Breece, or Kyron round 1. Absolutely, bro. And if I had a number 2 or 3 pick, and I had all those guys available in all 3 of the leagues, I'd mix it up. I'd go Kyron in 1. I'd go Bijan in the other. If I had 4 picks, Kyron in 1, Bijan in the other, Breece Hall in the other, and Gibbs. I'd go all 4 of those guys. All right, everybody. Appreciate you all. Hit the thumb up button. We'll be back live tonight. I think tonight's live stream will be JJ. I think. It'll be JJ. What is our concern level? Are we panicking?
Alert. Alert. Panic mode initiated.
Are we opening up the panic chamber for the man known as JJ? And are we placing him in the panic chamber tonight? That would be the question.
You are entering the panic chamber, brought to you by Grindhouse. Vintage movie tees and hoodies.
That might be our first episode tonight. To my side here, you will see when I talk with Rachaad White less than an hour after we talked, and he told me, because I asked him, is Baker returning? He said he's returning and I'm having dinner with him tonight. Less than an hour after that, Baker Mayfield news broke, and then we're popping bottles. So that was fun. Rachaad to the moon. Where's he going this year in fantasy drafts? I love Rachaad White. I didn't love his 3 yards per carry average, or under 4. It was over 3, but it was under 4. It was 3 something. 3 point. Ziggy, how many yards per carry did Rachaad White have in 2023? This is a complex question for him.
From the draftnetwork.com,
I don't think he can get it.
The former Georgia standout rushed for 70 yards on 17 carries while averaging an impressive 4.1 yards per carry.
Ziggy off. He's pulling up a one single game in college. He doesn't do well with complex questions. I'll see you all tonight. Please hit that thumb up button on your way out the door. You guys all rock. Thank you for all the super chats. Looks like we got another super chat here. This is from Matt O. Matt O says Josh Jacobs on the Revenge Tour. That might be a good candidate, bro, to be honest with you, Matt O. Let's go do it live. Let's go run it back.
It's time for some revenge, baby. Revenge Tour, Revenge Tour. Revenge Tour, Revenge Tour.
All right, so we'll move Bijan up here. We'll put London right here. Bijan's the leader. of the Revenge Tour. We'll put Cousins here. We still got to get the images for him and put those on here. Jacobs we'll put right here. Jacobs is in a kind of a territory of his own because he is not part of the Falcons squad there. So he's got to kind of sit by himself over here. Let me retitle this Jacobs. Jacobs is a perfect Revenge Tour candidate. Jacobs is going to the moon this year. Let's run that back like we mean it. I'll see you all later. Appreciate you. Thank you, Matt O, for the super chat. Thank you. Who else super chatted today? Runner Boy, Isaac. Thank you guys. And then we had Slime becoming a member and dropping gifted membership. Slime, appreciate you. I'll see you all tonight. And I believe it'll be a Panic Chamber episode about Justin Jefferson, unless we have breaking news that falls. And let me just refresh real quickly. With my luck, we're going to have to go live immediately. Austin Hooper expected to sign with the Patriots. Okay, big deal. Who cares? That's it so far. So we're good. We're good to go. We're good to leave. We are excused. Time to go get some food. Maybe I'll do a Flying Dutchman from In-N-Out. I don't know. I don't know if we'll have time. We'll see you later. Appreciate you. See you tonight. Deuces.
Is 8 foot tall. He will always answer the mother freaking call. Don't let him fall. In the third, don't stall. Just give Batman the freaking football.
He's Brees. He's Brees.
He does a hell of a job. A hell of a job. A hell of a job.
Brees Hall, please report to the moon.
He does a
Liftoff of mission
3, 2, 1, 0.